The San Francisco 49ers did not make any trades at the deadline, but they have made some moves this season, and they do have some players that could help in the second half. Let's reevaluate the second half post-deadline expectations as the Rams come to town on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always at BD Peacock at Coach Crocky. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for hanging with us. We got through the first half of the season, 9 weeks down, 9 weeks to go. And the trade deadline has come and gone. And we're going to get into all of those aspects and what we expect about this team, kind of look at how this team has come together now into the second half of the year as we await the Los Angeles Rams. 6-2 Rams. Got the A team on the broadcast team on Fox this weekend as well for San Francisco 49ers versus the Los Angeles Rams. Now, let's bring on today's guest.
Nicholas Winkler, come on down.
Action News 8 Sports with Nick Winkler.
Nick Winkler, of course, our guest on our Winky Wednesday episodes, known as the voice of the fan, my former radio colleague. And as the voice of the fan, Wink, now that the trade deadline has come and gone, what is the official position of the fans about the 49ers not really do anything on deadline day?
Surprised, I think. I think that a lot of fans and people out there really expected the 49ers to do something. And they kind of did, right? Last week they made a move, and they've made a couple of moves so far this season. Nothing big, right? No splashy move, which I think we're kind of glad they didn't do. They didn't really mortgage the future for this season based on all these injuries and so many key parts already out. Like I'm happy with where the 49ers are at right now. Would I have liked to have seen them give up a late round and bring in another defensive lineman or something? Yeah, probably. But I'm not upset with where they're at right now.
Yeah, and Croc and I talked right after the deadline, and it's like, what move went down that the 49ers should have actually made? And all of the reported prices were just a little bit too high. This is a deadline. You're supposed to be bargain shopping at the deadline, not trading away multiple first-round picks. So I was kind of surprised at some of the blockbusters, and I think in a lot of ways, a lot of those moves were overpays, and the Jets were trying to get the 49ers to overpay for some of their guys, and sounds like maybe the Dolphins were too. And John Lynch, the 49ers weren't having it, which I think is the right move in the long term. I know it feels like you need to do something, you want to do something. I'm sure the 49ers were motivated and wanted to do something, but the right thing, and not just throw away draft picks. It's just not the way to go about building your franchise and your football team, even if you do have some current needs. And is this the right team to go all in on? Probably not. No Bosa, no Fred Warner, right? And as banged up as it is, although I do want to talk about some help that might be on the way. Do you think just the overall feeling about the trade deadline, let's say the Keon White move was Tuesday instead of a few days earlier? Do you think the whole feeling is like, okay, this was the deadline move. They got something. They got this former second-round pick.
Yeah, I really do think so, because that's a move, right? I just think the 49er fans wanted something. They're watching all day long. I had multiple people texting me today between noon and 1, like, it's coming. Here it comes. Here, I know it. It's coming. It's coming. And nothing happened. And yeah, if the White thing happened last week, I think that 49er fans, or it happened today, 49er fans would be like, oh yeah, this is great. This is exactly what we wanted. Help on the D-line.
And Croc's like, well, like, what are the Bengals doing? Trey Hendrickson is like, held hostage in Cincinnati, can't get a new deal done. And then they're like, oh, give us a first round pick. And the entire league's like, no. And they're like, okay, I guess we're just going to keep him then. Maybe we'll get a comp third someday in 2027.
Thinking about the trade deadline today and how many trades were going down, is this a little bit more of a new phenomenon? Because I feel like when I was a kid, I remember Clinton Portis and Champ Bailey being like the swap going on there. They were traded. And that was like, whoa, a trade happened?
That started it.
Yeah.
That was the first big one. Yeah.
It was the NBA thing. You didn't see, outside of like maybe a draft day trade or, we saw that, right? Like just the Saints to get Ricky Williams, what it took. Years prior to that, the Herschel Walker trade, right? Like just a crazy amount of trades. But for the most part, it wasn't something that you saw or even in an abundance. Maybe if there was like 100% in need, I think it was Teddy Bridgewater towards Bradford traded to the Vikings for a first round pick, I believe it was, because Teddy Bridgewater got hurt. So there were like situations where just a trade happened, but we didn't see it, especially now where it's almost expected. It's the trade deadline. Trades better happen. 49er fans probably a little, wish the 49ers were more active. And it was just something you didn't see in the past.
Yeah, traditionally, NFL teams were just so risk averse and they didn't want to make any moves ever. And free agency wasn't as crazy and trades weren't as crazy. And the new school GMs and the way the league is now, they're okay. Someone says, I want to request a trade. In the old days in the NFL, they've been like, what did you say? Request a trade? No way. In fact, you have to go to prison for that. You can't say that. Are you kidding me? And now it's just like, okay, we'll trade you within 35 minutes. I'm sorry, sir. Here you go. You get to go to a new team now. And just teams are not afraid to trade picks, not afraid to make moves. And so it makes it a lot more fun. And it wasn't record. I think 2022 was the modern record of the most like deadline day trades. I think there was 10, maybe there's 8 or something today, something like that. So it was one of the top 3 days, I think, ever, but maybe not number 1. Although that was before, maybe there were some late moves that got it over the top. I'm not sure, but things that, especially the last 2, 3, 4 years. And, like the McCaffrey move, was that 2022 as well? I think that year was like really the first one was like, oh my gosh, the NFL trade deadline's actually a thing. This one, there was a lot more big blockbusters too, compared to last year. I think last year we expected more. And this year you got some really big ones. Like the Sauce move was just, nobody saw it coming. You thought the Jets might be involved, but Sauce was not the name that was thrown out there. So that was a big shocker. That's one where you have to check and make sure it was like, is that the real Adam Schefter or is that like a fake Adam Schefter putting that deal out?
Even Quentin Williams, yeah, it was brought up, like it was mentioned, but I didn't think that there was any real stuff behind Quentin Williams potentially being moved. We discussed him. Oh yeah, gonna get Quentin Williams. All right, let's do it. But I didn't think he would actually get traded. And not only did he get traded, I'm seeing my group chat blowing up. I traded to the Dallas Cowboys of all places.
So weird. What's crazy too is when I saw that Sauce Gardner thing go by, I thought about Niner fans because I'm like, Niner fans know 3 Jets cornerbacks ever, right? They know Sauce Gardner, they know Darrelle Revis, and they know Eric Crocker, right? And it's like, how excited were they to be like, oh, cool. A Jets DB got traded.
I did get an offer from Locked On Cowboys for Eric Crocker, but I shot that one down.
They weren't smart.
Up enough first round picks for me. I said, nope, can't do it.
Need at least 3 consecutive.
So I'll trade you Wink, and they're saying, nope, not interested. There is some help on the way potentially for the San Francisco 49ers, though, in the second half. And not just Brandon Aiyuk, although it was reported by Kyle Shanahan, this is not the week for Brandon Aiyuk. The practice window is not going to open for him this week. I do want to talk about some of those things as well as we get ready for the Los Angeles Rams here. Is a fun little curveball in the middle of usually everything's just so rigid throughout the NFL season. You go to the previews, then you go on to this and that, and then you got the next game, you got the crossovers, and you have a nice little trade deadline thrown in here, which is always a lot of fun. But we are going to look ahead at the Rams a little bit. Wink, I do want your thoughts on the New York Giants game as well, and I know you have a Wink watch for us. But I do want to talk about some potential help that could be on the way and maybe some expectations for some players that haven't done a lot this year that could help the 49ers in the second half, even if they weren't traded for. I think help could potentially be on the way for the San Francisco 49ers next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The NBA, it's back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next, fourth quarter comebacks, plus you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Of course, NBA, NHL, NFL football, college football, weekly lines, game lines, over-unders, props, yearly props, player props, build your own parlays, all of it at FanDuel. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All you got to do is head to FanDuel.com or download the app and sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Doer. And I've been talking a lot about my new favorite jeans, my Doers. I've got a couple of pairs of Doers. And the first pair is the performance denim. And I was blown away by how comfortable my performance denim jeans were. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. You can wear them everywhere. Your date night, to work, just hanging out with the boys, however you want to wear your jeans. They're great for that. And they combine classic jeans wear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. It's the best of both worlds. But then I went to the new Doer store in San Francisco, Hayes Valley. It's at 567 Hayes Street. And I tried on the no sweatpants that I didn't even know existed. It was like, oh my gosh, these things are even more comfortable. They are like wearing sweats, even though they don't necessarily look like sweats. They're kind of sneaky in that way, man. And so, but they're phenomenal pants. I love both my Doers, and I got a Doer shirt that I like quite a bit as well. Super comfortable. And you can find all of it with some great service. So I had a Marcus over at 567 Hayes Street. Pick up a pair for yourself. Amazing holiday gift as well. Mention our promo code LOCKEDONSF in store for 15% off your first order, or check them out online at shopdoer. That's DUER.com/LockedOnSF for 15% off. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. All right, guys. So Brandon Aiyuk, practice window not going to open this week, but it could be sometime soon here. You get Brock Purdy back, maybe, although now it sounds like this turf toe is going to linger all year long. So I don't know when Brock Purdy is going to feel like he can come back and play his game for the San Francisco 49ers. Ricky Pearsall is somebody who's going to come back for the San Francisco 49ers, help them out on the offensive side of the ball, and he was their number one guy when he was in the lineup earlier on in the season, dealing with that PCL, a pesky PCL injury, and hopefully that's coming back soon as well. So those are all big things. Spencer Burford has jumped into the starting lineup now that he's healthy at left guard. Some good plays, some bad, but I think an upgrade overall over the rookie Connor Colby, who was kind of thrust into action. And look, if Connor Colby was better, he would have kept that job too, because we saw Dominic Pooney do that too. Spencer Burford at right guard last year. So if the guy comes in, it's like, oh, this is a dude, that he's going to stay. And I think Connor Colby might be a good player for the 49ers. But going back with Spencer Burford at left guard, and then you might get Ben Barch as well, who was the starter to start the year, and he's had a lot of injury problems throughout his career. It's really was kind of dogged him, but coming back on the offensive line. So hopefully you get a better offensive line in the second half of the year. It looks like Pooney actually is playing a little bit healthier than he was a few weeks ago as well, which is a good sign for the 49ers going forward. But particularly what we were talking about with trading for a defensive player. I was really impressed, guys, with what I saw from Cleveland Farrell. And actually, I was shocked that the snap counts after the game that Cleveland Farrell did not out-snap actually Keon White. Because when I was really, and I didn't chart every snap of the game, but when I was really paying attention to that, especially at the beginning of the game, it's like, okay, who? Here's the new guys. Who's out there? It's like Cleveland Farrell's out there a lot, and he's playing awesome. And Keon White had some moments as well. But that's 2 new names and 2 guys. Farrell started in this league. He knows the 49ers system. He looked very spry for the 49ers in his first role back after being signed this week. And then Keon White, I think, can play a role. And I saw a big athletic guy. And so those are 2 players that can give the 49ers a little something. You got Bryce Huff. He's coming back from his hamstring injury. Maybe this week, maybe next week. We'll see. But he's been out, it's supposed to be around 2-ish weeks, and he's been out now 2 weeks with his hamstring injury. So that'll be a welcomed pass rush addition. We saw how good he was against the Atlanta Falcons a couple of weeks ago. And that's massive for the 49ers to have somebody off the edge that can create their own pressure. And then you look at the defensive interior guys, and you do have the second round pick, Alfred Collins. His snap count has kind of picked up as the season's gone along. Kind of played starters amount of snaps in recent games. Jordan Elliott's been out there, the starter, along with Kalia Davis as well. Kevin Givens came back from his pec injury, and it's actually made it so they have so many defensive tackles now that CJ West wasn't even active last week. But I still expect a lot from the rookie and CJ West from a run stuffing standpoint. I don't know if he's ever going to develop into a big time pass rusher or anything like that, but I think he's going to be a good player, potentially even a starter along with Alfred Collins long term. So I'm really looking forward to the development there. The 49ers cupboard is not bare. Now, they don't have a lot of depth if they're losing even more guys from where they're at right now, but maybe in 4 weeks, Yetur Gross-Matos comes back, right? Robert Beal, has had a few snaps. Okwanu's been dealing with some stuff, but the 49ers have some bodies, and they've been able to be a team that's 6-3. And if I'm looking at the younger players, Robert Beal, Okwanu, especially Collins and CJ West inside, and Khalil Davis has shown some development, I think you could possibly be okay on the defensive line. And I'm not trying to finagle anything by any of the fans that are upset about the trade deadline, guys, but the 49ers are 6-3, as injured as they've already been. They can win 4 more games and be a playoff team. They weren't going to win a Super Bowl because they traded for Bradley Chubb anyway. So tell me why this 49ers team can't be as good, or maybe in some ways even better in the second half with some of these young guys developing on the defensive side of the ball.
I fully expect the 49ers to be better in the second half. And I always expected that. The more reps these guys are getting and the more experience, they should stop making some of the mental mistakes that they're probably making early on. And I remember, my rookie year, I didn't have this long tenure with the Jets or anything like that. But just in my time there, one of the things that was very clear was when you're thinking, you play much slower than what you're actually capable of playing. And a lot of these guys are probably thinking a ton about, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? But once you can start manipulating what you believe an opposing offensive is seeing, right? The quarterback, late movements, but I know exactly where I'm going. My confidence is growing. I'm making some plays. You become a different version of yourself. And a lot of times that clicks the last quarter of the season for young guys going into their second year. So I'm excited to see how much better and much growth these guys have. Man, you don't think Upton Stout has, it's been like spinning?
Yeah.
Whereas, man, I'm out here, then I'm hurt, then I come back and I'm playing and they're attacking me. And before you know it, it's going to be, oh, okay, I'm comfortable now. I understand what's being asked of me. And I think that's going to be a lot of these guys. So I fully expect a young 49ers defense to play better in the second half.
Yeah, I think that all goes back to one name, right? With this young defense, with this for the veterans as well. And it's one guy on that side of the ball, and he's the coach. He's Robert Saleh. I mean, he's the reason this defense has been so good. They've been able to just plug guys in. I mean, Bethune had 16 tackles in this game. He's designing the defense around the guys he has, because you have to do that. You got young guys. Let's not leave them out on an island. Let's protect them. Let's make sure that we're plugging holes. We've got guys covered. We're putting pressure when pressure needs to come. And I mean, what Robert Saleh has done this year, we harp on it. I do, at least every single week I'm on this show, because it's noticeable. He has made such a difference on this football team coming back that it's actually fun to watch this defense play football, because you never know where pressure's coming from. You never know, who's going to make the next big play for these guys, because it's always somebody. And like you said, I was surprised when West was a healthy scratch before this game, but trust in Saleh. He knows what guys can play right now and who needs more time to kind of develop what Croc was talking about. I saw an interview with Steve Young the other day, and he was talking about that as a quarterback, like, do all the homework, do everything ahead of time. So when you're out there, you're not thinking, you're just reacting, you're seeing, and you're doing. And I think that Croc hit the nail right on the head with that. With a lot of these young defensive guys are still learning that. And you could see it, especially with Stout. He struggled a little bit early on, and he's starting to come along a little bit, and it's just noticeable. I love it.
And it's really important for this young secondary to develop together, because when you look at Deommodore Lenoir, who, not too long ago signed his long-term contract, Renardo Green's in year 2, and you have Malik Mustafa, who's in year 2 and is clearly a part of the starting lineup, and they want him to be there for a long time. You got the rookie in Upton Stout, who's had some ups and some downs, and now gets a chance to kind of settle in the second half of his rookie year. Marcus Siegel, we'll see what kind of a role he's able to carve out the second half of his rookie season to prove that he's a part of this long term. I mean, those 5 guys might be like these starters for a long time in the secondary for the 49ers. And then Nick Martin's just kind of this bonus 3rd round super speedy linebacker, hasn't had a chance to play defense at all for the 49ers, but is on special teams now. And I wonder at some point if he might get his shot. If there's, if D Winters gets dinged up again, are they going to go to Martin, give him an opportunity? Can he earn a role and get some snaps? And I wouldn't mind seeing what he could do, because he could fly around and make plays as well. If he's anything like what we saw in the progression of him in the preseason. So there is some ways that the 49ers can get some help that we haven't seen in the first half of the season, in the second half of the season. And similar to Nick Martin on the defensive side, you got the 5th round rookie running back in Jordan James on the offensive side of the ball. And if Isaac Rendo's completely fallen out of favor, I thought he was someone that could have gotten traded by the 49ers. He's still around, but if he's not returning kicks, make him the healthy scratch and get Jordan James up. I want to see him carry the football at least, because he was about to be the number 2 running back on the team until he broke his finger, and then they traded for Brian Robinson. And so there is still some hope for the 49ers to have some gems and unearth some things that we haven't seen yet that could help them in the second half of the year. But a lot of it, pertains to health as well, and getting some guys back and getting Pearsall back. And hopefully you see Purdy back and he's the same guy. And Brandon Aiyuk would be really nice if he's actually the same dude when he shows up at some point soon, which could potentially be in the next couple of weeks here for that last month down the stretch of the season, because the 49ers are in a dogfight with it's not like the 49ers at 6-3 are by themselves. They got the Seahawks and the Rams, and in the Rams this week, and 6-2 football teams, and so it's going to be a fight for the 49ers to earn that playoff spot and potentially even try to win the West. So I'm fascinated to see what this team looks like down the stretch. Wink, next. I want to hear what you think about the Giants game, and of course we got to take a peek ahead, get your Wink watch, and then talk a little bit and turn the page to the Los Angeles Rams in Week 10 next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Built. And, nobody likes paying rent. We know that. But if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, future rent payments, how about your next Lyft ride, and so much more. But it isn't just about rent. It's about everything you do around your entire neighborhood. When you're walking around your neighborhood, grabbing food at your favorite spot, maybe you head into the gym, getting coffee, still earning rewards with Built. Built has made everyday life feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's joinbuilt, BILT.com/LockedOnNFL, and make sure that you use the link so they know we sent you. Wink, what do you think about the New York Giants game from the 49ers? Again, it's a great example of a banged-up football team. You lose your first-round defensive lineman, and I think the scoreboard didn't even tell the entire story about how the 49ers were just in control of that football game against the New York Jets, aside from that early drive. And I loved seeing Saleh's defense turn it around. And I don't know who got chewed out or how that worked, but that was a good sign. What do you think about the New York Giants game for the 49ers?
Yeah, it's fun to watch after, that a week where you watch the Texans game, and as a fan, you hate every second of it, right? So it's, night and day, those two games. It was solid offense, solid defense, even solid special teams. Earlier, you said Farrell when you're talking about the defense, and my mind immediately went to Luke Farrell because of how well he played on special teams. I was like, oh yeah, man, remember Luke Farrell out there just making tackles, just looking like a stud on kick coverage, and because I love my special teams. Morstead out there doing his thing.
Nobody does remember that because everyone's going pee, getting something to drink, and come back and I hope nothing bad happened. Well, that kick was going on. I'm just going to hear what happened with Wink on Wednesday.
Yeah, stick around. I always got you guys on. That's how I knew Garendo was working on kick coverage. The only thing he's actually doing out there right now. But yeah, Morstead solid, 1 and 2 inside the 20 again. He's right around 50% for the year. We got Eddie Pinero. I mean, have you ever felt more confident in a kicker? With Robbie Gould, I felt like he was going to make everything, but he didn't. Pinero's making everything. It's just so incredible
Croc,
to watch.
I wasn't thinking about this, Croc, but maybe that's why the 49ers didn't do anything at the trade deadline. The front office is too busy working out that Eddie Pinero extension.
Yeah, there you go.
5 years.
Hey, he has been so clutch for the 49ers. So clutch. Isn't he, if I'm not mistaken, the longest amount of consecutive kicks made by a new kicker?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. To start your career. Start your career. Yeah. Either way. Yeah. He bypassed.
Start your career with the team.
Yeah. He bypassed Robbie Gould a couple of weeks ago. He's one of the most accurate kickers in the history of football. And he was just on the street available.
So,
and missed his first kick.
Third-round pick on the kicker.
Yeah, and look, and you start looking at EPA per play and rankings for special teams, the Niners were not good, and they started out bad too, and they've gotten better. So the new special teams coordinator, Brant Boyer, Wink, I think we got to give him some props, because all of a sudden the 49ers have started to climb and start playing a lot better on special teams. And by the way, Isaac Rendo's not getting his kick return back job back from Brian Robinson either.
No, not after that 40-plus yard return. That was fun to watch, because you never see that for the 49ers. You just never see good kick returns. So that was exciting. That got me out of my chair too. Everybody that was out there going to the bathroom, you missed it. Stick around, all right? Don't miss out on special teams. It's a big part of the game.
Important. Very important. Should we talk
real quick? You mentioned guys coming back, right? Guys, that can come back and help this football team. There's a guy who's already back, who's helping in one aspect of the game, but there's a whole nother part of it that we've barely unlocked. I'm talking about George Kittle. I mean, once they get his receiving locked in, as we know George Kittle can do, that's just a whole nother weapon that the 49ers are going to have on offense. And so it's just another thing to look forward to as a 49er fan, right? We know it's going to come. He just needs to get his legs under him. He missed, 5 weeks, 6 weeks? He was out for a long time.
And he needs to get his number called as well a little bit more often. We talked about that, and we talk about it a lot here on the show. Wouldn't mind seeing some more targets go 85's way, and I think they might down the stretch. And since George Kittle's come back, 2 out of the 3 games, they've just completely run the other team off the field in the ground too, which is
wonderful to watch. It's just so much fun watching chunk play. Yeah, right.
And look, I think McCaffrey was only 3.8 yards per carry in this game, but it was like it didn't matter at that point. It was like, we'll tell you what's coming. It doesn't matter. We're just getting this game. We're shortening this game up. Don't love the number of carries, 28 for Christian McCaffrey, but we'll digress away from that, because I think all the listeners already know how I feel about the overusage of Christian McCaffrey. And you knock on wood there. Los Angeles Rams, 6-2 Rams. The Niners are going to be in a dogfight the rest of the way with the Rams and the Seahawks. It's not going to be an easy run. And I was blown away how well the 49ers played coming out of the short week after the big injury that was post Bosa injury, right? Mm-hmm. Where they go on the short week Thursday nighter to LA and win that game, and they sweep the Rams, Wink.
They definitely can. I mean, if anybody owns Sean McVay, it's Kyle Shanahan. I mean, it's been fun to watch them play the Rams. Puka Nacua is a little bit banged up. He's got this rib thing going on. I mean, Devontae Adams is playing out of his mind right now. Matt Stafford got to be mentioned in the MVP category, and their defense has been looking solid too. So I'm expecting just a solid, just beat 'em up game, where just back and forth, just tough nose football. Like I'm really looking forward to this game. We got the A-team calling it. You mentioned Brady's going to be out there, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this football game. Real quick though, the wink watch from the game. Something I saw in the second quarter. I don't know if you guys talked about it or people saw it, but there was a play to Christian McCaffrey up the middle, and guys were kind of standing him up, and Mac Jones ran in there and started pushing the pile, and I was just like, that's what I'm talking about. I hate it at the same time, because I don't want him to get hurt. I'm like, maybe don't go in a dog pile. But that's the kind of guy he is, and that's why I think he's done so well on this football team, and fans have really embraced him, is because he just wants to win, no matter what it takes. It's a lot of fun to watch him play football.
Do you think it's a difficult dynamic for the offensive guys to have take a liking to Mac Jones the same way they do Brock Purdy? Because they love Brock Purdy. Shoot, I mean, even going back to that, like Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know how much they were friends with Jimmy G, but they definitely respected the kind of leader he was on the field. Brock, it seems like, man, they just love everything about Brock. Everything he brings to practice, his tenacity, his preparation, his maturity. And then you have Mac Jones come in, and it feels like he's giving you some of those same things. That play, that's a great way to become enamored by your teammates, like just to make them like love you and everything that you bring. So it's been awesome just watching him and his contributions to the wins. The 49ers gave up a decent amount of points against the Giants, but when you score that many points, hey, you're still going to walk away with a W. So he's doing a really good job there. But I think it's the little things like that where your teammates probably look and say, we kind of don't want to lose this guy this offseason.
Yeah. It was like last week, I think George Kittle was asked about Brock Purdy, and Kyle Shanahan's made it clear too. It's like, when Brock's healthy, it's Brock's team. And I think Mac Jones done a ton for himself. And I think the team they love Mac, and he's shown toughness. He's rejuvenated his career. I feel bad for him because he's gonna have to go be quarterback for the Jets after he gets traded to New York in the offseason. So that's a bummer for him. Hopefully he gets a lot of money to do that. I think he might go somewhere else because it is still Brock's team. And when George Kittle was asked about this stuff, and he said, quote, "I love playing football with Ricky." He was talking about Ricky. He's talking about Brock. He was asked about the guys who weren't around and some of the replacements that have come in. He said, quote, "I love playing football with Ricky because he's like KB, just full of energy and love the game. I've said 1,000 nice things about Brock. You know how I feel about him. He's the best operator of offense that I've ever seen. And Aiyuk, we paid him $30 million for a reason. That's how good he is." So he was talking about getting Pearsall, Purdy, Aiyuk back and the difference that those guys make. But it kind of stuck out to me with the way he said that about Brock Purdy, because it's like, as good as these other guys are playing, don't forget Brock is he called him the best operator of offense that I've ever seen. And he played with Jimmy. He played with Mac. He's played with some other guys. And so I think it's pretty high praise for Brock Purdy. Like, Brock is their guy still, as much as I think they've all bought into Mac, and he's played awesome for the 49ers.
Not trying to have any kind of quarterback battle conversations or anything like that in the comments, but this version of Mac, right? Man, I'm not even going to talk about the Patriots version or the Jacksonville version, but this version of Mac Jones, what we've seen. How great of an operator would he look like if he had the best version of Trent Williams, the best version of CMC, Deebo Samuel, the best version of Brandon Aiyuk, the best version of George Kittle, Jawan Jennings healthy?
Debo.
Will we see a better version, or does he play well right now? Because there's not really pressure of having to be good, and right now I'm kind of playing with house money.
Yeah, not a lot of pressure. Yeah, no, I would love to see it. I hope these guys get healthy, as soon as possible, and we can test that theory out, right? We can test out. Oh, let's get Aiyuk back. Let's get Pearsall back. Let's give Mac these guys. As long as they keep winning, don't rush Brock back. Like, I don't see the reason to do that. I get it. This is Brock's football team. Wonderful, but don't rush him back like you did in the Jacksonville game. Lose a football game and then lose your quarterback for 6, 7, 8 weeks longer. Mac's playing well enough where you don't have to do that.
It's gonna be funny when, I would love to see the look on Mac Jones' face too. In like 2 weeks, like, hey, all right, Ricky Pearsall's back in practice. We're gonna open the practice window for Brandon Aiyuk, and Brock's like, oh, my toes starting to feel really good, guys.
I'm great.
Hey, one thing is clear. Watching Sam Darnold, just got to watch him. There's still a different Mac Jones has played very well for the Niners, especially considering the circumstances. And whatever you think that looks like, I feel like when I watch Sam Bradford, I'm like, it just looks a little better. It just looks a little different. It looks a little different.
Oh, Darnold,
The way Darnold's got a good deep ball. He was picked where he was in the draft for a reason. And people were shocked that he wasn't the number 1 pick that year, with how he played at USC.
Sam Bradford?
You call him Sam Bradford. Everyone knows you're talking about Sam Darnold. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You're talking about
Sam Bradford reference earlier.
You mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
Can you guys, real quick, imagine a world where the 49ers took Mac Jones at 3, right? Like, how different is everything right now?
Yeah, he would have clearly been better, and he might have been really good, and he would have just been starter for the 49ers. But it's also like, because I've heard people talk about that. It's like, oh, Kyle finally got his guy. Should have drafted him anyway. It's like, no. Still shouldn't have drafted him number 3 or at 15 or in the first round at all, right? Like, that was kind of the whole point of always, like, screwed the whole thing up. It turned out okay. You found Brock. You got Mac back. You got yourself a couple quarterbacks. They're gonna have to develop another backup for Brock and probably trade away Mac Jones. I think for Mac Jones' sake, that's gonna be a big topic in the offseason too, guys. And hopefully the 49ers are playing playoff games, and so we don't talk about this too much until late January or February. But the conversation around Mac Jones, who's still under contract, is going to be huge with, do you trade him? Do you just not trade him because of how important it was to have a backup? And he's cheap. He's not going to be expensive. And Mac himself might be like, well, I rehab my end. I might not get this opportunity next offseason to go be a starter somewhere. So maybe I want to be traded. How that whole thing is going to play out in the offseason is going to be fascinating. And by the way,
good problem to have.
Curtis Rourke, by the way, speaking of help is on the way. Curtis Rourke, I think he's going to usurp Adrian Martinez at some point because he's got to come off IR if his practice window already open, or was it not? And be like almost open. I can't remember, but anyway, Curtis Rourke. Don't forget about him. He's kind of been redshirting so far this year. He might get at least some practice time late in the year, and could be in the mix for the number 3 job. And who knows, if you trade away Mac Jones, maybe he's the number 2 next year for the 49ers if he has a big spring. So there you go. No trades at the deadline, but you got Curtis Rourke, the ex-Hoosier, coming back from injury. It's going to be interesting in the second half. And the Rams are a good football team. Real quick note on the Rams game, guys. I know we got to get here. We're going a little bit long. Is a lot had to go right for the 49ers in that Rams game. There was the big punch out from Alfred Collins at the goal line, preventing a touchdown. There was like a big drop and a fumble from Kyron Williams. They're going to have to just play better and not with potentially not being as lucky to go win that football game against the Rams again too. So just because they beat the Rams the first time doesn't mean it's going to be super easy for them to beat the Rams this time in week 10. Wink, appreciate you jumping on with us as always. And we'll talk Rams and turn the page to week 11 when we chat next Winky Wednesday. Appreciate all the listeners as well, all the everydayers. And it's time for a little crossover already on the Thursday show, getting ready for the Rams. And then it's on the keys to victory. The league moves fast. I cannot believe we're at week 10 already in the NFL season. And thanks for sticking with us. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Check out the new NFL Six Pack show. Myself and Matt Williamson, formerly known as the Peacock and Williamson NFL show, breaking down the league daily. So subscribe there as well. And Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.
Can't believe it. I don't buy it.